In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and this is Untethered Live on a Sunday night. That's right. That means it's Bible study night. We're in the great book of Exodus. How's everybody doing out there in the great wide world? Are you ready to get some learning in your brain? Hey, Smoking Auditor. Hey, April. Good to see y'all. What's happening? Good evening from Ohio. Well, good evening from North Carolina. You're the smoking auditor, I'm the smoking preacher. Or so they say. How is everybody? Well, I hope. I've had an eventful day. I worked all day. Come home. Gonna work all night. That's how it rolls in the Johnson household over here. It's lovely to see everybody. Well, meaning you two, because everybody hadn't got here yet. You know how it is. Hello from Florida. Yeah, we got them all over the country. That's good. That's good. Got some in out west. Got some from England. Got some from Georgia. Some from Florida, some from Ohio, some from New York City, a couple from California. It's nice. Somebody from Tennessee. Who else am I thinking? Who am I missing? Puff, puff, pass. Study, study, teach. That's pretty much it. You got it. You nailed it. That's me. I know lots of good friends, hon. Me too. Me too. Lots of good friends from the internet. I mentioned the VTV. I said out west. And also Alpine Gulch is out west too. Lily. It wouldn't surprise me if she didn't pop up with that name. Kind of funny. Anyway, we got some good stuff going to happen tonight. We're in the great book of Exodus. That's the second book in the Bible. And we're on, let's see where we're at. Chapter 6, verse 14. That's where we left off. That's where we're going to pick up. Well, it's somewhere, nowhere that I know of, but somewhere that they're in the middle of. I don't know if they're in the middle of somewhere. They might be on the edge of somewhere, closer to the edge of nowhere. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to think about, that statement. They're in the middle of nowhere. Well, what if they're 2/3 of the way across? Is that still the middle? What if they're right on the edge of wherever? April says, Smoking Auditor, it's good of you to come hang out and stay a while, okay? She said, take your shoes off, set a spell. Y'all come back now, yeah? That's that Georgia hospitality coming out of her. He said, I'll be here for a bit. Well, that's good. That's good. I need somebody to talk to. Otherwise, I'm just a crazy old man feeding cats and talking to myself. That's not a good thing. Your presence is precious, believe me. Went by and saw a buddy of mine today, hung out with him for a little while. It's nice. He's finally home from the nursing home. He's been adjusting to civilian life again quite nicely. That's a good thing. I know you. I know you do. You may be the only one who does. Everybody else who knows me is dead. Talking about this cat last night. That was about the only thing you were talking about. A lot of time. That's funny and cute. Huh? I may have briefly mentioned my cats, but I wasn't only talking about cats all night. By no means. I watched the podcast. There was a lot of conversation last night. What do you mean? Hey, cats are great. Most of the videos I've made have been about my cat. And it's sweet of you to have a change of heart, Jake. I didn't change my heart. Not even a little bit. I hate cats. I'm just really lonely. You know, you gotta get love from somewhere. And they purr. And purring is biochemically the same thing as healing. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but cats' purrs will actually increase the dopamine levels in your brain and cause you to start producing healing enzymes. Why? I don't know. I assume God planned it that way, but it's true. So, medicine, cats. But thanks for noticing. But no, I haven't had a change of heart. I like my cats. I don't like cats in general. It's kind of like children. I like my children. I ain't crazy about anybody else's. But if it makes you feel good, you can think I changed my heart. What about dogs coughing? I like real dogs. If you're talking about those little ankle biters that you walk around with a purse, nope, I don't like those. Ancient Egyptians used to worship cats. I said that last night because of their healing properties. Later on, scientists have found out that they secrete a solution that does actually help stimulate healing in humans. Well, it's not a secretion, but it is a reaction. It's the purring. The frequency of the purr causes the body to produce enzymes that actually help you heal. And they put your brain in a theta wave, which is conducive to healing. It's a little less restful than sleep, but it is something. And their cuddliness increases dopamine by about 1.5% in the bloodstream, which is about the equivalent of eating a chocolate bar, which is biochemically the same thing as falling in love, by the way. Just so you know. I read that in a magazine somewhere, I'm sure. I get all my hot scientific data points from 17 magazine. How though? I don't know. You'd have to ask God. He made them. I just pet them and feed them. Actually, the whole thing started as an act of contrition because there was an old raggedy-ass mama cat out there that had a litter of kittens, looked like about her 15th one, and they looked like they were starving to death. And I felt guilty, so I went out there and fed them. And they just never left. And now there are 3 litters of cats in my yard between 2 mama cats, and then there's a big daddy cat running around out there. So I'm up to about 11 cats, I think. And they just keep coming. I don't know where the hell. I saw a new one yesterday. I think they put out a memo or something. Hey, food's over here. Come hang out at the crazy motorcycle guy's house. He'll feed you. I hear him yelling at night, though. I don't know what that's all about, but he'll feed you. Yeah, no time to trap some cats and get them. No, I don't get them fixed and release them again. Why would I do that? Would you like to be trapped and have your balls cut off? Why would I do that? You don't think they like family? You leave them cats alone. You let them procreate as they see fit. That's what they're here for. I've watched them hunt. I know they know how. At birth, I've got a litter of babies out there that know how to catch grasshoppers and eat. They're not going to starve to death. They're not going to overrun the world, and they keep the rats away and other things, spiders and such. I'm certainly not going to have them fixed. Their body, their choice. The whole thing makes my skin crawl. I mean, if I've already produced a few litters of children, yes, that would be the smart thing to do. Only if you're worried about it for some other reason than having a family. If it's a financial thing, or if you just don't want that many damn kids around, there's reasons to fix yourself. But doing the thing that's a smart thing to do and then having it forced upon you is not the same thing. Ask a woman, any one of them, if you've ever met, if there's any difference between the act of having sex and the act of rape. And you know what they'll tell you if they're being honest? Yes, there's a big difference. It's the same act. The difference is consent. And that makes all the difference in the world. Same thing with, lopping off body parts. I kind of think that's about the same thing. I don't mean it's the same thing. I mean the consensual part is the same thing. But that's just how I feel about it. That's my opinion. You're welcome to feel how you feel about it. And that's what's good about America, because we can all have our own opinion. Or we used to could anyway. I'm probably getting kicked off of YouTube tonight. I don't know. Cats are great, but they will overpopulate and decimate the wildlife around your house and community. On average, cats kill billions of birds a year. That's true. That's true. But you know what I think? I'm probably stepping out here, but I kind of think birds are assholes. You need a cat that'll keep rats away? They will, and everything else, because cats are wild murderers. I don't know if you know that or not, but they are. Vicious murderers. If they were the size of tigers, we'd all be screwed. Yep, that's true. They are murderers. Have you ever seen a house cat sitting at the window and spot a squirrel, and they start making that sound with their mouth that they can't even control, that they're not even aware they're making, that they're like, I want to bite it. I'm going to bite it. Just let me out there. I'm going to get it. Cats are vicious murderers. And yes, they should be fixed. I'm just giving Smoking Auditor a hard time. But I can neither afford to have 11 cats fixed, nor do I have a means to do so. So they're on their own. They were on their own when they got here. They can stay on their own as far as I'm concerned. They can be like all animals. All animals are vicious murderers. You ever seen a deer eat a bird? I have. There's actually an island somewhere full of tigers that hunt humans progressively. I learned about them from a podcast. Kind of, sort of, yeah. It's called India. It's not actually an island, it's a continent. But there are tigers there that will hunt people, and about 30 people a year die from tiger attacks there. A tiger is a monster. They shouldn't exist. That's all I'm saying. I can't think of a good reason for a tiger. I know the Lord has one, but I can't think of one. About like a shark. Tigers and sharks can die for all I'm concerned. I don't want to see that nightmare stuff. It's not nightmare, it's dinner. Why would you consider it a nightmare for a deer to eat a bird? You don't think deer like meat too? You eat chicken, don't you? That's not a nightmare. You ever seen how a chicken is prepared? You're correct. A lot of tigers do hunt people in India, but there's an actual little island. Well, I haven't heard of that one. Where they will jump off the island, swim to a boat, and actively hunt humans, not just to feed, but just to hunt them because they're human. Well, that may be so. I don't know about that place. I know about India and the tigers there. They're Bengal tigers that'll attack people. And it may be a place in India that you're talking about. I've heard the boat story too, but it was in India on one of the rivers there. But there may very well be an island. I don't know. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I do know about the tigers that will fight, will attack people. Man, it's dusty in here or something. I can barely breathe tonight. Oh, wow. So a tiger will get in the water? Yes. Not only will it get in the water, it will swim out, snatch you off the boat, and drag you back to the other side, eat you, and then go back for a next person in the boat. And there's literally nothing you can do about it. All that just to say, don't go to India. Fair warning, there are more tigers in captivity in the state of Texas than there are in the whole world in the wild. That's the truth. No, cats don't like getting wet. Tigers are not cats. You understand that? It's a feline, but it's not a cat. It looks like a cat, like a kitty cat, but it ain't one. You ever heard a cat roar? Mm-mm. So Life of Pi was somewhat a true story? Probably. Probably based on reality. I haven't seen it. I don't know. But I'd say that the chances of a person hanging out with a wild tiger probably ain't going to end well for the person. I did see the trailer, so the tiger and the person in the boat together, there'd be a tiger in the boat. Know what I mean? It's like that old joke where Noah is sitting at the bottom of the ark going, okay, 2 elephants, 2 giraffe, 2 antelope, 2 turkeys, 2 tigers, 2 such and such. And then they go in the boat and just do an inventory. We got 2 tigers. Where'd everybody go? It was a good movie. I have to check it out. Most likely the kid from Life of Pi would have been ate by that tiger on day 2 or 3, probably, if not day 1. Yes, you should see it, Jake. You really like it. I might. I did see the trailer, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. Okay, it's 8:20. I guess all that's coming is coming, so let's get to it, shall we? Let's go down. Pow. I like my stained glass. If you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to the great book of Exodus, chapter 6, verse 14. Got to get my breath going. These be the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok, and Palu, and Hezron, and Camri. These be the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jamul, and Jamin. He be Jamin, yeah. And Ohad, and Jachin. Shh, that's a secret word. And Zohar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanitish woman. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi. Now, this family is rather important because Levi is the family from which the priest line comes. When you have all the high priests from the New Testament and the Old Testament on the tabernacle area, when we get to the tabernacle, we're going to set up, the hierarchy of the church, as it were, what we refer to as the church. Well, the Levites were charged to be the priests of that organization all the way throughout history. Some say they still are. According to their generations, Gershon and Kohath and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. No, it's not the drink. It's the mixture of the heat. I've got the heat on because it's cold outside. And when the heat gets to a certain temperature, I can no longer function properly for some reason, and I can't breathe. I think it's because I have a deviated septum and I can't get air while I'm talking. I don't know. Could be because I'll smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. Anyway. 137 years. The sons of Gershon were Libni and Shimi, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, and Izhar, and Hebron, not the same Hebron as the one mentioned, Hezron. It's Hebron with a B, not a Z. And Uziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And the sons of Merari were Mahali and Mushi. Could you imagine naming your kids Mahali and Mushi? Could you imagine baby talking to Mahali and Mushi? Mushi, 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 Mahali, Mahali, Mahali. These are the families of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife. Ooh, his aunt. Could you imagine marrying your aunt or your uncle? He did. They don't call him Amram for nothing, you know what I'm saying? And she bare him Aaron and Moses. Do you know who Moses is? In the Hebrew tongue, that would be Moshe, which means drawn from the waters. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years, just like his great-granddad. And the sons of Izhar, Korah, and Nepheg, and Zikri. And the sons of Uziel were Mishael, and Elazaphan, and Zithri. Not Zikri, Zithri. Huh? What? Huh? Who said what now? Pay attention, young lady. I'm throwing balls at you here. Curve balls. You got to catch them while they're hot. I'm trying to make this slog of a read through the genealogy somewhat amusing. Play along and laugh out loud if you can. Possibly roll on the floor. Throw up a few skulls or something. Or one of those eggplant emojis. Or whatever you kids are doing today. Sasquatch, what's happening, brother? Sorry, was making longs to edit intro shorts later. You watch your damn mouth, mister. I wonder how they came up with those long last names. Well, they're first names, not last names. and they speak Hebrew, so everything is full of consonants. And by the way, I would imagine that Nepheg and Zikri were as common as John and Jack are today. They yelled down a well. Yes. Nepheg and Zikri went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. You know what I'm saying? Zikri came down with 50 cents. You think they went up for water? Said that wrong, but you got the point. Nepheg and Zikri went up the hill. They each one had a quarter. Zikri came down with 50 cents. You think they came up with water? All right, enough jokes. I'm killing it tonight. Oh, well. It's okay, but I want to redo it and try to make it better again, especially if you're going to use it. I wanted it to be real good, but you're more than welcome to use that one. What are we saying now? I missed one, clearly. Are you even talking to me, or are you talking to Sasquatch? Smoking auditor. I clearly missed where this conversation is going. Killing something. Killing something? Yeah. I'm trying, man. I'm sinking here. It's hard to read a genealogy and not go after about the third name. But it's important because you got to know who's who and where they came from and why the family's here. Oh, I got you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I was confused as heck. I thought you were talking to me. And Aaron took him Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nahshon, to wife, and she bare him Nadab and Abihu and Eleazar and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah, Asir and Elkanah and Abisapha. These are the families of the Korathites. Korites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took him one of the daughters of Putiel to wife, and she bare him Phineas, who was a cartoon in the 90s. Had a friend named Ferb. You might remember it. These are the heads of the fathers of the Levites according to their families. Who's Waldo? And these are that Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies. These are they which spake to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. Yes, we know who they are. Thank you for clearing that up, Bible. There's only one Moses, only one guy drawn from the waters who has a brother that speaks better than he does. And it came to pass on that day, when the Lord spake unto Moses in the land of Egypt, that the Lord spake unto Moses, you just said that, saying, I am the Lord, speak thou unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say unto thee. And he did, and he did. And Moses said before the Lord, behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. Watch it, buddy. I don't know if you're aware of YouTube guidelines, but careful how you phrase things. I know what you mean, but they may not. And how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? What he's saying is I don't belong to an established family. How is the Pharaoh going to listen to what I got to say? Not to mention the fact that he raised me. Actually, he didn't. His dad raised me. He's my brother, so to speak. I keep forgetting that the Pharaoh died, the original Pharaoh. This is the Pharaoh's son, which I believe to be Ramesses II. Could be a different one, but I think it's Ramesses. What's up, Diego? And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh. Notice that God is lowercase g. What he's saying is I've made you superior to Pharaoh, not God in the sense that we use the term. He's not saying he's equal to Almighty Father. He's saying I've made you superior in power to Pharaoh. So you shouldn't have any problems talking to him. Confidence up, buddy. Cowboy up and get in there. And Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. You're the God and he's the prophet in my stead. Meaning, you do the powerful stuff and let him do the talking. Okay. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. Now you got to understand, Pharaoh ain't built that way. He don't see the logic in losing his workforce over some Jewish dude yelling at him, roughly speaking. So he's going to say no. And, everybody knows it, especially God, because God's going to make him say no. Why? Because nobody knows who God is in Egypt, and nobody knows who God is among the people who worship God. They haven't seen him since the Garden of Eden. So he's got some proving to do. He wants to establish the fact that he is the Almighty God. How better to do that than a few plagues and some deaths? That usually shakes people up, makes them pay attention. You know what I'm saying? A flood here and there. Anyway. He says, just then, I'll tell you what to say. You go in there with your brother. He'll do the talking, but you stand, and look mean like you're the guy that's going to enforce what he's saying. Don't say anything. Look mean. Let him do the talking. And then he says, and I, God, will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. Even if the garden God never showed us his form, he only spoke to the U.S. humans. I don't think you're right there, because there were no U.S. humans at that point. There were no U.S. at that point. There was no continent where the U.S. will eventually be at that point. You follow me? You dig? Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. You see, God wants to show his signs and wonders so that people get the picture, so they know who they're following. That's what the reason he hardens Pharaoh's heart. And the reason I'm kind of beleaguering the point here is because a lot of people have made that assumption. Well, if God wanted his people to be let go, then why did he harden Pharaoh's heart? Doesn't that seem counterintuitive? Doesn't that seem mean? No, it doesn't. Us humans. Okay, I got you. Us humans. Understand. Yes. God did at one time walk among us. That is true. He stopped doing that because of what we were doing. And he hadn't done it in a very long time. Even at this point, this is 4,500 years ago, roughly. And probably 1,000 or 1,500 years before that, he stopped. So there was a period. You got to understand, in the first book of Genesis, when Cain is a young man, and he is to bring an offering to God, God speaks to him, and it does not freak Cain out. He acts natural, like he just responds. Matter of fact, he's sarcastic to God, which lets me believe that this is not an abnormal occurrence. You see what I'm saying? He's seen God before, which led him to be comfortable enough to smart off to him. You know, when God says, your brother's blood cries from the ground. What have you done with him? Where is thy brother? And Cain says, what, am I my brother's keeper? For some reason, he's from New York. I don't know why. Anyway, you blame Bethesda or Bethesda? It's in there. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgment. What are we saying here? Is it mean? That's what I was getting at. Is it mean for God to harden Pharaoh's heart? Make him not let the people go so that he loses all of his people? No. I'll tell you why. Because of this sentence right here. He wants to bring his people out of Egypt and do it with a great judgment. What does that mean? That means that these people are sinners and they're ready to be judged. That means that they've already committed atrocities that the Lord sees fit to destroy. And he's using them as an example while he's killing two birds with one smiting, if you know what I'm saying. And the Egyptians, that's the other people, shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. You figure it's just that God forgot his password in his Google account? That's entirely possible. And he was mad. They probably wouldn't give him no help on the helpline. Probably did what they did to me in the Mac store and told me I had to wait 6 months to re-up my password. I'd smite them too if I had the capability. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. So they did, or so did they. And Moses was 80 years old. Anybody? Class? 80. How many is that? 10 points, the first person to answer me. I've been doing this since day one. I've always counted it out for you. It's your turn. April, how many is 80? Caucasian? Anybody? Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Thank you, Caucasian. 10 points to Caucasian. 80 is 20, 40, 60, 80. A score is 20. Do you think Abraham Lincoln said 420 years ago, we smoked some weed on the back lawn? It was great. Yes, 100. And Aaron, 83 years old. That'd be 83. 3 years older than his bro, which would make sense because he was there when Moses was born. When they spake unto Pharaoh, and the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before the Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. He did smoke sweet hemp. I don't know if he smoked it, but he definitely grew it. And Moses and Aaron, oh, by the way, I've had an epiphany of sorts. I'm not entirely certain that the word serpent means snake. Although it does mean snake. I think it may mean a couple of other things too. And we'll get into that some other time. But just look into that word and look into how it's used and how it precedes other words. Clearly, now there's one school of thought that thinks that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was not Satan, but the Bible clearly says it is later. In fact, he even calls that old serpent the devil, referring to the serpent in the Garden of Eden. So that thought is wrong, but it may also include lizards of certain types or even dinosaurs. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm looking into it. Anyway. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before the Pharaoh and before his servants, and it indeed became a serpent. And the Pharaoh said, "Really? That's what you're bringing? Hey, come here. I got some wise men over here who can do the same thing. Watch this." So he called his wise men and his sorcerers, and now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments, and turned something of theirs into a serpent. Here's the problem. They cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. Doesn't say how many, but I'm guessing it was a few. But Aaron's rod swallowed them up, all of them. There's the difference right there. Theirs was a parlor trick, a cheap imitation. Aaron's staff really turned into a serpent because God is the creator and he's able to manipulate his creation any way he sees fit. These are, and it says it right above, now the magicians. What is a magician? A magician is a trickster, somebody that performs illusions, right? They don't do real magic because there's no such thing as real magic unless you're a creator or a divine entity of some kind. And technology to a person that doesn't understand it is indifferential than to magic. I'm sure that's a word. No, he did not turn human before he manipulated Eve. It clearly says he was a serpent, and he spoke. Now, here's the funny thing. Can animals talk? Is it weird to think that a serpent spoke to Eve? I've had people roll their eyes so hard they could see the backs of their skulls when I've told them this. There's no way an animal can talk. I said, suppose I could tell you right now of an animal that exists in the wild that is neither majestic nor ancient that will talk your ear off. Would you call me crazy? They said, yeah, I'd call you crazy. Animals can't talk. I said, my aunt has a parrot. Never shuts up. Animals can't talk. They don't have lips or tongues or voice boxes. Have you seen the beak on a parrot? You think they can make vowels? They can. They don't use lips, but they can do it. So, can an animal talk? Yes. There is nothing stopping an animal from talking. If you do a little scientific research, you'll find out that most animals have the equipment to make sound and the brain power to form thought. So there's nothing stopping an animal from talking. It just doesn't want to. You understand? Certain types of crows and macaws can talk too. That's correct. I've heard a crow talk, and also you got mockingbirds, which can talk and do other sounds. I have a hunger, I shall devour a cow, says Caucasian. Please send me one of those. I'd like to have a big steak. I haven't had a steak in so long, I forgot what they taste like. Anyway, sorry for the diversion, but I was studying on Genesis this morning, and it's in my mind. So there you go. For they cast down every man his rod more than a few, and they all became serpent. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. I used to own a dog that could say I love you and hello and a few other words. His name was Ralph, and he was very, very smart and would sit and listen to drunk people talk all night long. I saw it with my own eyes, and even talked back to them occasionally. He didn't have a very large vocabulary, but he did speak English. Anyway. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuseth to let the people go. I made it that way. God is telling Moses what he's doing, so Moses understands what he's in for. So don't make the mistake of thinking that God gave Moses a task and then made it impossible for him to do the task, thereby being unfair to Moses or to Pharaoh. Pharaoh's time to be judged is now, and Moses knows what he's getting into because God just told him what he's doing. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against him coming to you. Against he come is what it says, but what he's saying is get between him and the river. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand. Pay attention to God's instructions, because at some point God is going to give Moses an instruction, and Moses is not going to follow it. This is going to cost him his opportunity into the promised land. This is a sin that God is very hard on Moses about. And the reason he's hard on him is because it takes credit away from God and gives it to Moses, and that's not what the intent is here. Moses is the messenger, not the deliverer. All right. So get on the riverbank and stand between the Pharaoh and his water. Maybe he's coming out to get a drink or take a bath, who knows? And the rod which is in thine hand, which turned to a serpent, shalt thou take in thine hand, and thou shalt say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Translation, God sent me, let his people go. They want to be in the wilderness, but you just won't listen. Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. Now, is that what God told Moses to do? This isn't it, but this is like it. This is strike one, I think. But what did God tell him to do? He told him to take his rod in his hand. That's it. He didn't tell him to smite the water with it. He didn't tell him to tell Pharaoh that he would smite the water with it. He said, God told me to tell you to let my people go. You see the difference? And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses and said, I didn't tell you to say any of that. He didn't say that. He said, Say unto Aaron, take thy rod and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt. See how God took the rod away from him because he didn't follow the instructions. So he said, give the staff to your brother and let him do it. Okay. upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water. So he's going to walk around the complex, and anywhere there's water, he's going to raise that staff over it, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. Leave no water unturned. I'm not sure how that got in there, but that's what he's telling him. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river turned to blood. Now, what does that mean? It means what it says it means. No, the water didn't turn red because of algae, although that is a credible scientific explanation. God said blood. That means hemoglobin. That means red blood cells, white corpuscles, the whole 9 yards. Blood. Can't drink blood. It'll make you sick to start with. And also God says don't do it because the life is in the blood. And you already have life, so you don't need double life. It won't work that way anyway. Trust me on this. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, their tricks, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Well, the Egyptians, the magicians, turned a little water red. They didn't turn it into blood, and they didn't turn all of it into blood. Moses turned all the water into blood. There was no water in Egypt. It was all blood. Chances are the magicians scooped up a little of it for their trick. I'd say that's probably more likely. Anyway, the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord had said. And the Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither did he set his heart to this also. He didn't pay it no more mind. He just put it out of his head and went inside, watched some Jeopardy or whatever. And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink the water of the river. They're digging wells over there trying to get fresh water. Ain't gonna find none because all the water in Egypt has turned to blood. You're gonna have to wait for a rain, buddy, and be hoping it don't come down red. And 7 days were fulfilled. After that, the Lord had smitten the river, meaning the water was turned back to water after 7 days. For 7 days, though, they had nothing to drink but blood. That would change my mind right there. Did not change theirs, though. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And he said, But I'm not Charlton Heston. He said, You'll do fine. He did not say that. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs. And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thine bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. That's where you make bread in a little kneading trough. And the frogs shall come up both on thee and upon thy people and upon all thy servants. Meaning there's going to be so many frogs, they're going to be everywhere and in everything. It's going to be a regular Tom Cruise movie up in here. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up from the land of Egypt. Notice how God has taken the staff away from Moses and given it to Aaron because Moses didn't follow the rules. He'll give it back to him, though. Give him another chance, and you'll see what he does with it. Moses is a little zealous, that's what I'm saying. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt completely. Huh? They're all time. Did you just put a... You did, didn't you? Hopefully the frogs were at last edible. Frog legs aren't too bad. You might have a point there. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I already read that. Where am I at? And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt in one room, there were already frogs there. See what's happening here? They're just piggybacking off of God's trick. But God's trick ain't no trick. Their trick is a trick. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord, ask the Lord a question for me, that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. You think Pharaoh's caving a little here? And Moses said unto Pharaoh, glory over me. When shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee in thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, tomorrow. Moses said, be it according to thy word. I'll do as you say, that thou may know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. This is important, folks. This is why we're here. I'll do exactly the way you ask it to be done, so that you'll know that God did it, that there's no trick. On your word, I'll have the frogs in the river tomorrow. And the frogs shall depart from thee and from thy houses, and from thy servants and from thy people. They shall remain in the river only. Now, if you've ever seen an influx of frogs, they don't stay in the river. The whole point is to come out of the river. But these frogs will. Now, it must be stressed that we're not talking about a few frogs. They are in everywhere. They're in the shoes. They're in the cupboards. They're in the bed. They're in the chimneys. They're on top of the house. They're up the cow's butt. They're everywhere. You're stepping on them when you're walking around, smushing around on frogs. They're everywhere. All different kinds of frogs, I would imagine. That's not biblical. Doesn't say what kind of frog, but I'm assuming typical river frogs. And Moses and Aaron went out from the Pharaoh, and Moses cried unto the Lord because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, which was actually the word of the Pharaoh. And the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered themselves upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was a respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. This is a mistake. Tens of millions of frogs. Try billions with a B. We're talking heaps. The word heap means small mountain of frogs. And enough to cover fields. And so the next day, all the frogs are in heaps in the river. and the land stinks of dead frogs. They all died overnight and piled themselves in piles, which is not a frogly thing to do. And still the Pharaoh says, you know what? I think I'll keep them. I'm not letting them go. I know I said I'd let them go, but I'm not going to let them go. Nope, that's not enough. I haven't had enough yet. And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so, for Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. That means everybody had lice. And we're not talking about head lice like you get in Florida. We're talking about body lice that make big red whelps and crawl all over you and sting and get in your ears and such. Bad, 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 bad. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. Do you know how much dust is on the land? Have you ever seen a dust cloud before? Imagine that being lice. Even our lice. Lice, I'm out. Yeah, I hear you. I grew up in Florida. It was a daily occurrence where I was from. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. Not even the lice that were there. They couldn't even get a handful of them to make it look like they made lice. They could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. They were everywhere. There were so many lice that the magicians couldn't pretend like they were making lice because they had lice all over them that God had already put on them. Yeah, it was gruesome, I would imagine. Then the magicians said unto Pharaoh, this is surely the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was even more hardened. I'm adding words here. You need to stop that, Jake. This is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water. Remember, he comes every morning to the water. And say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will sever in the day the land of Goshen in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. So there'll be swarms of flies in everybody's house, but where the Hebrews live, no flies. That's a no-flies zone. Know what I'm saying? And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into the servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt, and the land was corrupted by reason of the swarms of flies. And Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, go ye, sacrifice to your God in the land. Get out of here. Go on. Shoo, I've had enough. Flies are just too much. He'll change his mind before the day's out. And Moses said, it is not meet to do so, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord our God. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, and they will not stone us. we will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us. All right. So Pharaoh's trying to compromise here. He's saying, why don't you just go sacrifice to your God? And he's saying, we can't. Why? Because what we're sacrificing over is the abomination of Egypt and what you've done to us. We're sacrificing to our God, and if we do that here in the presence of you Egyptians, won't you all stone us to death? No, I think we won't. How about we go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and do it? That way we can have our privacy and our protection. And then we can do it the way God commanded us to do it. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that ye may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness, only ye shall not go very far away. Entreat for me. You're not going to go very far, and you will be coming back, because these are my slaves. And Moses said, behold, I go out from thee, and I will entreat the Lord that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, and from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not the Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more in not letting thy people go to the sacrifice to the Lord. You've already fooled us once. Fooled me once. Shame on me. Fooled me twice. Shame on you. And Moses went out from the Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. He asked the Lord. He said, Lord, Pharaoh said he'd let us go, but I don't know. I don't trust that fellow. What do you think we should do? Well, we're playing with him, so I'll pull the flies back tomorrow, and you go try to leave and see what happens. If he don't let you leave, I'll really give him a walloping. All right, Lord. That's how we'll do it then. And Moses went out and entreated the Lord, and the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarm of flies from Pharaoh and from his servants and from his people. There remained not one fly. And Pharaoh, sure enough, hardened his heart at this time also. Neither would he let the people go. Now, they've only asked to go 3 days away and agreed to come back. He ain't even going to let them do that. It's not good. Then the Lord said to Moses, go in unto the Pharaoh and tell him. Last few times he said, ask him or say to him. This time he's saying, tell him. Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For if thou refuse to let them go, and wilt hold them still, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle which is in the field, upon the horses, and upon the asses, and upon the camels, and upon the ox, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. That means suffering. And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die of all that is the children of Israel. Meaning, just like with the flies, everything in Egypt will die. Nothing in Goshen will die. And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land. Think you still want to hold on there, Pharaoh? You still want to dig in like a tick? Let's see how far we can go then. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Egypt died, but the cattle of the children of Israel died not one, not even a little one. They all died, though, in Egypt. And the Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead, and the heart of Pharaoh was yet again hardened, and he did not let the people go. I don't know if you've noticed a pattern, Pharaoh, but it seems to be escalating, and you are not looking good here, buddy. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, take you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it towards the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. Let him see you do it. Do it all dramatic like, and let the wind carry it off to the heavens. A handful of ashes, like dust in the wind. And let him see you do it. Because he's already freaked out. He may be acting tough right now, but he's freaking out inside. And if you do some stuff like that, it's going to really mess with his mind. So go do that. And they took ashes from the furnace. Wait a minute, I missed one. And let in the sight of Pharaoh, and it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt. In other words, that dust that he lets go is going to carry out, and like a snowball, it's going to cover the land of Egypt. And everywhere it touches, men are going to break out with boils and blains. And if you ever had either one of those, they suck on both man and animal. All over the place. And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. And Moses sprinkled it up towards heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils. They couldn't even show up. They were covered with boils. So they were on their knees, writhing in agony because of boils all over their body. The magicians that were trying to outdo him, they've been beat. They have been defeated. For the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. And the Lord hardened the Pharaoh's heart yet again, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had spoken to Moses. So this is all part of the plan. There's a lot of Egyptians being suffered right now, but they're being judged for their actions too. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning. When Pharaoh goes out to the pond or the river. Stand before Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve thee. For I will at this time send all of my plagues upon thine heart, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. No food, no water, pestilence. For now, I read that. And in very deed, for this cause have I raised thee up, for to show in thee my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. Now he's telling Pharaoh why he's doing what he's doing. So there's no excuses here. Everybody knows what's up. As yet exaltest thou thyself against my people, as you sit there being all high and mighty over my people, that thou wilt not let them go? Question. You think you're so big and bad, you're so over my people that you won't let them go. Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as hath not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now. You ever wonder if it rained hail, fire, and brimstone at any point in time in Earth's history? Well, God just told you it did in the foundations. That's in the beginning. But it hadn't been here since. That means it don't do that anymore, but it will this time. That's fire mingled with ice in rain, which is a very weird combination, by the way, and it freaks everybody out. Send therefore now and gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field, and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. And he that feared the word of the Lord amongst the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that regarded not the word of the Lord left his servants and his cattle in the field. Guess who came out on top on this deal? And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch forth thine hand towards heaven. Notice he gave the power back to Moses. Stretch forth thine hand towards heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt. And Moses stretched forth his rod towards heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt, since it became a nation, ever. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree in the field. That's a lot of hail, folks. I've been through a couple of hailstorms. It didn't break trees down. This was rough. Only the land of Goshen, which is where the Israelites were living, where the children of Israel were, there was no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron and said unto them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous. You bet your bottom dollar he is, Pharaoh. He is, and you have. And I and my people are wicked. Yes, you are, which is why you're getting all this punishment. Now you're beginning to see it, I suspect. You're beginning to realize this ain't some group of coincidences. This is truly the hand of God smacking you around. Entreat the Lord, for it is enough that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and ye shall stay no longer. Says Pharaoh. Something tells me he ain't ready to let go just yet. And Moses said unto him, as soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands unto the Lord, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that thou mayest know that the earth is the Lord's. Who does the earth belong to? The Lord. Make no mistake about that. That's what we're learning here. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye will not fear the Lord God. You think I'm stupid? I've already fell for this twice. I'll stop the hail. No more innocent need die. But for you and your servants, you think I think you're going to fear God? No, you haven't had enough just yet. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold, meaning they were ready to be plucked and harvested. And now they're all gone. That whole harvest is gone. So they're not profiting anything off of anything that was growing in the fields. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. It wasn't in that. That's a date, by the way. If you know anything about farming, look at when barley grows and look at when wheat grows and get somewhere at the end of one and the beginning of the other one, and that'll tell you what time this actually happened. Because it hadn't changed. That's still the way barley and wheat grow. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh and spread abroad his hands unto the Lord, and the thunder and hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder were ceased, he sinned yet more and hardened his heart, he and his servants. This ain't God hardening his heart. This is Pharaoh hardening his heart. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened. Neither would he let the children of Israel go as the Lord had spoken to Moses, or by Moses. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have done, what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know that I am the Lord. Notice the title, I am, and then the Lord in all capital letters. Remember in Genesis 1:1 when we talked about the Lord becoming Lord God when he created man. Before that, he was just God. I am that I am is his name. Now, it's about to get real. So if you got a weak heart, know that this is for their own good. Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, How long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locusts into thy coast, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. Meaning, there are going to be so many of them, you'll be blind. And they shall eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail. If there's anything left that the hail didn't destroy, the locusts will eat it all. You'll have nothing. The greatest city in the world, the most prosperous country in the world, will make nothing, because everything will be gone. All that harvest. But that's not all. Not just the harvest. They shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. And they shall fill thy houses, and the houses of all thy servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? Have you not looked outside? There's nothing left. Let them go already. What are you doing? This is getting out of hand. And the Pharaoh just sat there with a strong chin, chiseled and staring at the floor. And Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh. And he said unto them, Go, serve the Lord your God. But who are they that shall go? And Moses said, We will go with our young and with our old and with our sons and with our daughters and with our flocks and with our herds will we go. For we must hold a feast unto the Lord. So all of us, everything we own is going with us. And he said unto them, Let the Lord be so with you, as I will let you go, and your little ones. Look to it, for evil is before you. Oh, there's the Pharaoh trying to be tough now, issuing a few threats of his own, isn't he? Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve the Lord, for that ye did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. So he said, No, I'm not going to let your little ones and your animals and your women go. Men can go serve the Lord. That's what you came in here and asked me, and that's what I will let happen. But everybody else is staying put. I'm the Pharaoh. I'm God around here. That ain't going to work out well for you, Pharaoh. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail had left. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought in an east wind upon the land all that day, the same east wind that parted the rivers and everything else. And all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts, and the locust went up over all the land of Egypt, and rested in all the coasts of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there was no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. This is the absolutely biggest swarm of locusts that has ever existed. It darkened the sun when they flew about. We're talking so many locusts you couldn't see your hand in front of your face for locusts. In case you don't know what a locust is, it's a big damn grasshopper. And they eat everything. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. And they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees, which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, throughout all the land of Egypt. There were not only locusts in Egypt, but they were all over the world. That's how many there were. And they were all headed towards Egypt. So locusts from all over the world came to Egypt to destroy everything there. And they spit in your eyes? Maybe. I don't know. I've never had one spit in my eye before. I think that's a llama that spits in your eye. Not a locust, a llama. A la mama. And Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste. And he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. You think? Didn't I tell you that before I left this morning? Now you figure it out. Now, therefore, forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. Really? So, this morning when I was here, and you said, no, I can't go worship my God with my people. Only the men can go, but everybody else has to stay put. You didn't realize that this was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. Everything else I've told you was going to happen happened. You didn't think this was going to happen? Okay, fine. I'll forgive you, and we'll pull the locust back. Let's see what happens. I'll talk to God. Have a good night, Smoking Auditor. Thanks for hanging as long as you have. No, they're blinded because there's so many of them that they can't see for. It's like fog. There's so many locusts, it's like fog. That's why they're blind. It's not, they can't spit in your eye, but there's so many of them that they can't see through them all. Remember, locusts came from all over the world. They covered the whole earth, and all of them went to Egypt. That's a lot of locusts. There's never been a swarm like that ever since then or before then. And there's been some big swarms. Anyway, he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord, and the Lord turned a mighty strong westward wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. It's so dark you can feel it, like thick darkness. I want to leave before we get to the sad part. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Well, we got to go through it, and it's important that we see it. But I understand. I feel your pain. Thanks for hanging as long as you have. Come back tomorrow night where we'll get past the bad part. And Moses stretched his hand forth towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt. For 3 days they saw not one another, neither rose any one from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. It was so dark in Egypt that they couldn't even move. Thick darkness. They sat on the ground for 3 days and didn't move because they couldn't see anything, not even shadow. It was black. But everybody that lived in Goshen had light. Whew. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. How are we supposed to throw a feast if we don't have any herds and flocks? That's not the deal. We all go, or we keep doing this. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind. For thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God, and we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. We don't know what's going to be expected of us until we get there. So all of our cattle and all of our little ones and all of our women and all of our men are going. It's as simple as that. Quit trying to negotiate. You can't negotiate with God. Pharaohs. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself. See my face no more. For in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. I'm the God around here. I'll kill you. How about that? I've had enough of this. And Moses said, Thou hast spoken well. I will see thy face again no more. And the Lord said unto Moses, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. Then he shall let you go. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. He'll throw everybody out when he lets you go. I've done a wonderful thing to Pharaoh. I have beat him into submission, says God. I'm going to hit him with one more blast. One more. You don't have to go back and see him again, but I'm going to wallop him one more time. And when I do, he'll be ready to negotiate your way. Not only will he let you go, but he'll let everybody go. Anybody that wants to go, Hebrews, Egyptians, doesn't matter. Just go. I'm done. So that's the way it's going to be. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of his neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold. Tonight, go out to your neighbors and borrow some money. Everybody. Go to your neighbor and borrow some gold, borrow some silver. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, meaning that they were more than willing to loan them some money. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. Why? Because he grew up with the Pharaoh. He was indeed a prince of Egypt, and they all loved him up until he left and went on this crazy pilgrimage to find out who he really was, and came back doing all this. And Moses said, "Thus saith the Lord, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of the beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall there be any like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel." Do you hear that? He makes a difference between these peoples. They are not the same people. They're not the same breed. They're not the same type. They're not even the same species. God sees the Israelites as a different thing, a different creation than the people. But know this: the firstborn of every living thing in Egypt will die tonight. But the Israelites, a dog shall not move his tongue against a man or beast. What does that mean? That means be still. Don't do anything when it happens. And just know that the Lord has got you. "And all these thy servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that I will go out." And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. So he told the Pharaoh what was going to happen. And he went out mad because the Pharaoh wouldn't let him go. I don't think Moses wants this to happen, but it's going to happen. "And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt." And Moses and Aaron did all the wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened the Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you in the beginning of months. That would be April. Or January, depending on which calendar you're using. "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you." So this is the separation of the other forms of keeping time with the with the Hebrew calendar. So if you want to know what year it really is, which is 5-something, I can't remember now, but look at a Hebrew calendar and figure it out. It's not that hard. It's way different than the Gregorian calendar that we use, which is way off, by the way. Then God says, "Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. Every house gets a lamb. And if the household be too little for a lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make you count for a lamb." So if you ain't got a big house, go over to your neighbors and share with them. Make sure everybody is covered by a lamb. Everybody's got food to eat. Period. "Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, spotless, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. That means everybody together kill all their goats in one night. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, the lintel as we call it. That's the upper part of the door and the 2 side posts of the door. Cover it with blood. Mark it, wherein they shall eat it. Wherever you're going to eat dinner, mark the door, the front door. Why? To let God know where you are. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roasted with fire and unleavened bread. Why unleavened bread? Because it takes time to raise bread with yeast. They want to eat fast. So they're eating like crackers, unleavened bread, flat bread, because it's quick. And with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. That means like thyme and Bailey and things that are bitter, not savory, but bitter. Why? Because that's how God likes it. I don't know why. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water. That means don't boil it. Don't eat it raw. Don't boil it, but roast it with fire. His head with his legs, and with puritance thereof. That means everything. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. That which remaineth of it in the morning, ye shall burn it with fire. Don't have any leftovers. Don't bring any with you. Eat all of it. And if there's anything left, burn it up with fire. Send it to God. There should be nothing left. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded and your shoes on your feet and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. Shoes on your feet, pants on, shirt on, staff in hand, money in pocket, wallet in back, ready to go out the door and eat fast. Quickly, gobble it down. Why? Because there's something really bad outside, and when it's done, it's going to be time for you to leave. And then this is what it says. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be for you as a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. That means if you don't strike your door with blood, you're going to die, or the firstborn of your family will die. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. That means forever. You keep this day, you remember it. This is in April, the 14th day past the spring equinox. That's day 14 at dark. That's when this occurred. You following me? That's the first day of the year, April 14th at dark. Just as soon as the sun goes down, that's when Passover begins. Keep this day for a memorial. And ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. That means forever. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. This is a law. You have to do it every year. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your house. You shouldn't even have yeast in your house during Passover. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in that first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. That means you're the one that has to kill your goat and prepare it. That's the only work you do in those 7 days. You prepare that meal on that day. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore ye shall observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. What does that mean? That means that from now until time stops, every year on this day, you need to remember what happened in Egypt on that day, because it's when God came down to earth and passed over the land of Egypt, killing the firstborn of every living thing there, just to remove you from Egypt, to remove you out of bondage, to bring you into the promised land. God came to earth and made that happen. He doesn't do that very often, so you better damn well remember it. That is where we're going to stop for today. We'll pick up tomorrow night at 12:18. Wow. What an intense read that was tonight. It blew my socks off. Made me kind of scared a little bit. Because that's the way God rolls. How did you feel? Did you learn anything? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel moved? Do you feel terrified? Do you understand what God was trying to do? Do you feel like pressing that subscribe button and pressing the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online? And smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you. It really does help the channel with the algorithms, and it helps us get recommended to other people. So please hit that like button. Share this video with people you love. Better yet, share it with people you don't love. Bring them into our family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. And hey, leave comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid as long as you're thinking critical. That's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here, and you understand what I'm trying to do, and you'd like to be part of this and help me out, help me reach more souls and bring more people to the power and the Word of Almighty God, and you'd like to be part of that, you can support my work by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband. Or if you're a CashApp user, you can go to $JakeJohnsonBand. Also, catch us on Rumble. We're on Rumble now. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Prime, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, anything with the word cast in it. We're everywhere. So go check us out and help spread the word. That's how we did it in the past, and that's the only way we're going to get through it today. I appreciate your support, and I will do everything in my power to be worthy of it. And now, I will take your questions and comments and smoke this lovely cigarette. How about that? Amen. Great, intense, and yes, understand. Oh, are we Indians now? I'll tell you this much. It got me thinking, because you really have to see these as people. People like the people you know. This is going on. There's indentured servitude today in this world. And at this particular time, this was Egypt's workforce. This is how they were building all those pyramids and all those big statues and stuff. And God said, let them all go. And Pharaoh was like, nuh-uh. How are we going to build our statues? That means I got to work and get my nails dirty. Well, he probably should have listened the first time, because it cost him a lot. And see, here's the thing about old Pharaoh. Just because he lets them go, don't mean he learned anything. He's going to end up chasing them. And he's going to chase them right into the Red Sea. And he and all of his army is going to get swallowed up, and Egypt will never be the same again. At that point in time, all of the Egyptians that are real Egyptians, like the ones you see painted on the walls and all the hieroglyphics, are gone. They disperse because there's a power vacuum in Egypt, and the other people come in, the Ptolemies and such, maybe not at that particular time, but other powerful people came in and picked up where there was no Pharaoh. And the people scattered that were there. And then all these new people came into Egypt, and it never recovered. Its wealth, its power, its might, its glory, its beauty, its artwork, its creativity, its science, nothing was ever the same again after that army was perished in the Red Sea. After all that fire and brimstone and locusts, and the whole of Egypt lost all the crops. That will bring a country to its knees when crops is the thing that makes the money. You know what I mean? And Egypt did come to its knees, and it stayed there, and it's there today. It survives only on tourist money today. There is some industry in Egypt, but largely it is a dead country. It is not one of the world powers. Go figure. It used to be. God took care of it because of their sin. So remember that when you live your life. What are you doing for God? What are you doing because of God or in favor of God? Are you helping fight his battle? Are you helping reach people? Are you helping support his ministers? Are you helping to do the work yourself? Because you need to be if you're not. As far as tithing goes, you tithe where you're taught. If you feel like you're learning something here, by all means, send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings my way. I'll take it. I can use it. I'll make it go to good stuff. But you tithe where you're taught. If you're taught elsewhere, send your tithes there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about other kinds of support, like spreading the word, like teaching yourself, like going out and bringing people to the Word of God. That's very important. That's part of the plan. That's how it gets out there. That's the reason we still have Christians today. So don't be the weak link in the chain. Contribute. If you can't fight, carry bullets. If you can't carry bullets, make sandwiches. Do something towards the fight. Read. Do something. Be productive in this religious war that we're in. And make no mistake about it, it is a religious war. Whoa, they were torn, but it's not the same. Huh? No, they never recovered. Egypt has never been what it was since it died, and it died on that day. All the golden era Egypt stuff occurred before this happened. We're talking about Ramesses II here. Look back in your history books. The dates are wrong, but the information is correct. Amen, says April. And hit that like button. Share. Come on. Come on to see us, everyone. Love. And hit that like button. I agree. Thumbs up. We're working hard over here at Untethered Live. We just hope that you work a little bit to help us keep going. That's all I'm asking. And we are going. We're now spreading out. We're on 2 platforms now. So go check us out over there if you hadn't done so already. Hit the subscribe button over there. It's free, but it'll help us grow. And if I can get a big following over there, there's maybe even some potential for me to make money over there. It's a lot easier than YouTube to make money over there. But we got to have the people over there. So, do your part. Go hit that button. Take a minute. You ain't got to watch it there. You can watch it here if you want to. I don't know exactly how the propagation is going to work anyway. It goes over there, but I don't know when. How long it takes. It won't be live. Unless I do a live from Rumble, which I'll probably do a couple over there because It's necessary. But I ain't going to do many because YouTube's my platform. And as long as they don't ban me, you know, this is where I want to be. Till they start censoring me, and then can't have that. That's why the Rumble thing, though, because I want to have a backup in case this one fails. Through no fault of my own. You know, Satan attacks you when you're doing God's work. You ever heard people say, I want to walk in the footsteps of Jesus? Really? Have you considered what he went through? You really want that? I don't think you do. I'm not walking in the footsteps of Jesus, and I'm getting attacked on every corner. So I promise you, he went through worse. You don't want to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. You can't. But what you can do is try to be as righteous as you can be. That's what you need to try. No harm in trying to be perfect. You just ain't ever going to achieve it. Okay, love, yes, that is a good idea for sure. I think so. I am trying to diversify. Diversify. What movie is that from? Do you know? I know. I'll give you a hint. You ain't got nothing to lose. I've been rare form tonight. I've been funny all night. What do you think? That's right. Diversify. Have my jokes been landing, or have I just been making a fool of myself today? I tried to make it a little entertaining anyway. Try to bring it to life in a lifelike kind of way. I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying. And I'm also trying to make a clear line between when I'm joking and when I'm reading so that you know the difference. LOL that. Is that a yes or a no? On the are my jokes landing question. I'm only an amateur comedian. Full-time musician. Part-time preacher. I really wish this microphone stand wasn't so noisy. Yes, I get it, hun. Not exactly what I asked, but thank you. Appreciate that. Anyway, tomorrow night, we're going to finish this fantastically powerful story and get into the crossing of the Red Sea. Ooh, exciting. Tonight, we've done our work. We've earned a respite, if you will. I am going to eat a cupcake and go to bed. Not necessarily in that order. Ooh. What are you going to do? You're welcome. Thank you. I enjoyed the read tonight. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We still got some people watching, so I'm going to keep talking for a minute. And then he says nothing. Yes, amen. I'm going to bed too. I'm so tired and sleepy. Yep, I was at work around 6 o'clock this morning. Around 8 o'clock this morning. Somewhere around there. I don't know when. Sun just came up. That's all I know. Anyway. And still going. I got about another hour and a half worth of stuff to do after I close the podcast. And then it's Betty bye. And that being said, that's what I'm going to do. I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for watching the video if you're doing so later on. I hope you learned something. I hope you get something out of it. And I hope you come back for more. Sunday and Monday night live on YouTube at 8:30 every day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on Sunday at 8 o'clock. Have a great night. Do me a favor when you go out into the world tomorrow. Be nice to somebody. That's all. Just be nice. Just do that and see what it does for you. I promise it'll change your life. It'll open doors you never thought possible just by being nice. Just go out of your way to be nice to somebody. I promise it'll change your life. Do that. That's what I want for you. A changed life, a better life. Have a great night. God bless you. God keep you and your family. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Keep your nose in the book, and you will always err on the side of caution. April says, I did enjoy the read. I got to do some things too. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Thank you, sweetheart. I hope you have a great day tomorrow as well, and a great night tonight. Good night's sleep, and get your things done. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. I love you true. I do. It's just me and you through and through from now until whenever. Something else that rhymes with you. Have a great night, and thanks for watching.